Hello again. I certainly did not mean to make 3 videos in a row, but I just felt like the last 2 videos couldn't form uh, um a fully fledged unit in themselves, so that I felt like a third part would you know just just have to be there, and that's why I'm doing this. I don't make any kind of preparations for this, so these are just all improvised on the spot. Um, so I don't quite know where I should be going with this. It would certainly be easier if there was a student in the same room uh, as me, because if there was a specific question, I could immediately give a specific answer to it. Instead, right now, I have to sort of mm, I have to anticipate what might be uh, unclear moments and try to answer them before questions come. So, that's like a slight difficulty level. But anyway, no, we have more than a few slight difficulties, so that's not too much of an issue with a project like this. So anyway, in the last 2 videos, we took a general look at what are the building blocks of the Finnish sentence, and yeah, as I've kept saying throughout these videos, I've heard immigrants speak Finnish, all my life, and basically, um, the common feature that every Finnish person who has heard immigrants speak Finnish is the adult, uh, people who have come into Finland at an advanced stage and have taken some adult education courses in Finnish. The way that they speak broken Finnish is that they leave the postpositions out. Now, you may have watched the last video and you see that even I struggled with the postpositions, although I would argue that the only reason why I struggled is because it seems that I was offered 3 choices, all of which seemed like they could be made to work. So that the reason why I couldn't find the one perfect choice is because I had 3 choices, none of which seemed more perfect than another. So it's not that I couldn't find the choice, but it's more like I was offered too much, and I was like, well, which one should I take? I mean, um, the there's a certain in informal Finnish. There probably is one answer that's more right, and the other answers are slightly less right. But in informal Finnish, you are the more informal the Finnish spoken, the more leeway you will be given. In informal situations, it's things are made a lot easier for you. So just putting it out there. Easier for you as far as you speaking it, not necessarily easier for you as far as understanding the speech of others, because if people make sort of personal adjustments to words, you mightn't be able to pick up those altered words like you mightn't be able to uh, uh, you essentially have to translate from informal Finnish to formal Finnish and from formal Finnish to your native language, and that process might that might be the challenge for you. But as far as just you producing, uh, uh, some ease might be there. But anyway, I've heard foreigners speak broken Finnish and they just leave the postpositions out. So it's the equivalent of leaving prepositions out in English. Uh, you know, uh, I have book table. So instead of saying you have a book on the table, you say I have book table. And the people are like, what's your book table? Like a table for books or something? And just like if you drop prepositions from English, sometimes you'll be understood, sometimes less so, like with the book table. Also in Finnish, sometimes you'll be understood even when you leave postpositions out. Sometimes you'll be understood, sometimes less so, and sometimes not at all. It's just like those have to be learned, all right? I don't want to make them sound more difficult than what they are, but I also don't want to because the difficulty level, like postpositions are easy when you have that kind of beginner's class word pairing, on table, pöydällä, inside a store, kaupassa, in front of a bus, bussin edessä. So, there's two prepositions in front of a bus, in, the in front of a bus, the in and the off. So, in front of a bus turns into bussin edessä. Bus would be bussi, but then off a bus, the off turns into the an at the end of bussin, and then in front, in front is the edessä. So like postpositions should be easy with those kind of beginner word pairing, but then with the sentence you have to be able to hit the ground running and not do those kinds of pairings, but you just have to remember several things in a row, and then with things like monia asioita, many things, is that there's two words that have been modified. So the two words that have had their endings changed with the postpositions, that's when they get tricky. And so slippery that even I sort of had to end the video because I couldn't juggle all the balls, all the Finnish and English and so on, and it was an added difficulty because like I sort of artificially started from the standpoint of the broken Finnish turned into the finalized Finnish. So there was just too many elements, and gradually the balls just get thrown in the air, and then when I took my attention off it to something else, then thing came to an abrupt stop, but since we are circling around this Finnish sentence, it's not such a big deal. So let's just keep circling. Anyway, when forming sentences in Finnish, what we keep establishing in these videos is that you need two things. You need to have a vocabulary of Finnish words at your immediate disposal, so that you need to have committed them to your long-term memory. So that I'd say that this kind of word pairing, blanc or blanche, white, noir, black, marron, brown, vert, green, bleu, blue, jaune, yellow. That kind of word pairing, it's like having training wheels on a bike, so that you have the two wheels on the back, one wheel in the back, one at the front, and then two at the side as well, so that you'd have four wheels, so that falling down would be made almost impossible. So I feel like that kind of word pairing from English to a foreign language, it's like the kind of training wheel version, where sometimes it has to be done, but really when you cannot do anything but that, it sort of means that the words aren't at your immediate disposal. So that's a further complication. But everyone has to start as a beginner student, and you move out of it when you're ready. Maybe it happens sooner, maybe later, it doesn't matter. But you just need to lose the training wheels at some point, and then you take the big plunge, 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 into the the intermediate, part of not having the word pairing. Not just the beginner part is you are widening your vocabulary. That's what a beginner does. And then intermediate, when you have the vocabulary, you have the raw uncut material, and then you just need to be able to modify them to the final forms. So that's the road we're on. I've outsourced the beginner studies mostly to you. I've outsourced your vocabulary building mostly to you, because I can't do it for you. I cannot learn words for you. You have to do it yourself. I guess on some level I could do all of the beginner. I could do all of the beginner words for you, but then again, I could also do the words both in English and French. Let's say that instead of me just using the teaching language here is English and the language being taught is Finnish, but what if I made the teaching language both English and French? Let's say that I wanted to include the people who speak French but not English. For instance, one of my relatives attended an Arabic class that was taught by a certain refugee who came here. The teacher, she spoke Arabic and French and like really broken Finnish, but no English. So that there are instances where some people, they could follow French but not English. Like, let's just say that I'd have to say everything here 3 times. Once in English, once in French, once in Finnish. I could do that, but then again, I could just leave it undone, you know? Like, we have to pick certain spots and just move along those routes. And I'm just choosing to not have French. I mean, my French isn't that good, but I could certainly do the words in French. So I'm choosing not to do that beginner stuff in English and French, and just like I'm choosing to drop French, I'm also slightly choosing to just drop all beginner stuff and outsource them to independent studies. Because I cannot learn the words for you. You have to learn them yourself, you know? If you cannot remember what the Finnish word for to see is, if you can't remember that it's nähdä, if you can't remember how to conjugate it, minä näen, sinä näet, hän näkee, me näemme, te näette, he näkevät, that means that you are in need of a fairly long stay in the beginner phase of the studies. So if, well, you have to use your own discretion whether to even be watching this video, like maybe this video has moved way too far from where you are. And as I've kept saying, you should definitely have some sort of a Finnish for beginners textbook or just some alternative source of, so that you can have the requisite repetitions so that you'll really learn the words, you'll really learn the grammar. You see it in your textbook, you hear it in these videos, and you'll just gradually ease yourself into the language, like when you have multiple sources of the familiarization process. So as I've stated, I can't learn the basics for you, so you just have to figure out the way to have a vocabulary on your own. But then the next step, that's like I would argue that for any beginner students, learning the words is the simplest. Like blanc, valkoinen, noir, musta, marron, ruskea, vert, vihreä, bleu, sininen, jaune, keltainen. Like learning those words is fairly easy. Monday, maanantai, Tuesday, tiistai, Wednesday, keskiviikko, Thursday, torstai, Friday, perjantai, Saturday, lauantai, Sunday, sunnuntai, Monday, maanantai, Tuesday, tiistai, Wednesday, keskiviikko, Thursday, torstai, Friday, perjantai, Saturday, lauantai, Sunday, sunnuntai. So anyway, just like the easiest part of learning a language is just picking up the words, so that gradually you'll learn the colors, gradually you'll learn the weekdays. It's like regardless of where you learn them, you will learn them. Like those are the really easy things. So you just have to commit them to memory, and then you'll have enough words. But then after that easy part, when you'll sort of catch up to where you should be to be in the same ballpark as this video, then we make the jump from the beginner class to the intermediate class, and that now we're not looking for words, we're looking for forming sentences, and like in most beginners class, you have the pairing, so that you have word pairings, the weekdays, for instance, from English to Finnish, but you also have sentences from one language to another. So like je m'appelle Mikael. My name is Mikael. J'ai 28 ans. J'ai 28 ans. I am 28 years old. You teach those kinds of sentence pairs. In Spanish, for instance, I don't know, me gusta la música. Me gusta la música. I like music. For instance, you just you have the same mentality of dealing with the pairs. You're learning sentences by heart. You're learning these kinds of language units. Warum nicht? Why not? Go vadis? Where are you going? That kind of beginner type, dealing with the pairs, committing things to memory through, that kind of movement, so that you'll just you'll remember them the way you remember translating words, so that you'll think of them in pairs. So like some beginners classes do have those kinds of sentence pairs, and that's fine, but those won't help you with the intermediate phase, when you cannot deal with the pairs anymore. The sentence has too many variables for you to think of in terms of pairs. Like imagine if I had my thoughts in Finnish and I had to manually translate every word of every sentence from Finnish to English and only then speak. It would take forever to finish any ideas here. So like I have to essentially think out loud in English in the flow state so that I can produce the sentences in English at the kind of pace that doesn't frustrate the audience. So, like, this isn't beginner's English, this isn't intermediate English, it's already the kind of fluent, advanced English. And why is it not beginner? Because it doesn't think in those kinds of sentence pairs. Like, my Japanese is so non-existent that the only relation I could have with the language is in the beginner phase, thinking of those kinds of sentence or word pairs. But then, gradually you just have to cut ties with that kind of approach to language, and you just have to accept that you'll have to commit words to your long-term memory so that they would be in your immediate disposal, that they would be in your active vocabulary rather than in your passive vocabulary, so that if I'll look at here's like this is a dictionary that has Finnish search words and matching pairs in English, Spanish, Italian, French, and German. So where do I pay in English is in German. Wo kann ich zahlen? So in Italian it would be dove posso pagare. In French, où est-ce que je peux payer? Those kinds of sentence pairings you can learn sentences by heart, all right? So if I just wait, I'm trying to, yeah. So there's the how are you sentences. In French, comment allez-vous? In Italian, come está? In Spanish, como está usted? You can learn sentences by heart, but you have to recognize that that only really works for, like, let's say that you learn 10 sentences by heart, and then you remember to say comment allez-vous. If you want to say that French sentence, you learn 10 sentences, but to express everything you want to express, you'd have to use something like 10,000 sentences in a week, and you cannot learn 10,000 sentences by heart. So that's why we have to distance ourselves from that kind of pairing. The Finnish for how are you doing, comment allez-vous, is like in English and French, how's it going? In Finnish you could ask miten menee. Miten is how, and menee is it goes. So how it goes with you, miten menee. And if you want the with you, it's sinulla. So miten sinulla menee, how it goes with you. you know, you can learn things like that by heart, but really we have to eventually arrive at the point that there's just way too many sentences that have to, like, you know, if you want to express yourself, there are more sentences that can be learned by heart. So that's why we have to tackle modifying the terms. So, sorry, my voice is starting to give up on me because I've done this many videos in a row. But anyway, I'm just trying to bring us all to the same page with this kind of study program, so that you know, of course, I could just take this. I could just take this dictionary and just you know, read these pairs for you. When will it be ready? Milloin se on valmis? Quando estará listo? Quando sarà finito? Quand est-ce que ce sera prêt? When is es fertig? Like, you know, we could if you're an English speaker, you could study Finnish, Spanish, Italian, French, and German. You'll study all of them at once, except the problem comes that the amount of repetition that would have to be done for you to learn all of those, for you to commit all of those to your long-term memory. Milloin se on valmis? When it will be ready? Quando estará listo? Quando sarà finito? Quand est-ce que sera prêt? Wann ist es fertig? Milloin se on valmis? When will it be ready? Quando estará listo? Quando sarà finito? Quand est-ce que ce sera prêt? Wann ist es fertig? Like, the amount of repetitions that would have to be done would be just insane. And like, I could keep reading that for like for the next 20 minutes, and you would still not remember tomorrow all of the, you know, you wouldn't remember 24 hours from now what is the German for when will it be ready. Wann ist es fertig, you know, because that kind of word pairing, it's maybe the more pleasing route to a student, but you know, like, I promise you, is this your first visit here? Est-ce que c'est la première fois que vous êtes ici? Sind Sie das erste Mal hier? È la prima volta che lei è qui? You know, oletteko ensimmäistä kertaa täällä? Like, I could read those over to you for a full hour and you still wouldn't remember them tomorrow. Like, it's just that's not the way to go. Like, that kind of sentence pairing, that's to me that always seems like that's putting the cart before the horse. So you can't learn complex things in an easy way like that. It's like, you try to cut corners, and what you'll do is that you'll just say the things, but they won't translate into you committing them to your long-term memory. It doesn't work like that. Like, repetition brings results, you know, sure, but that kind of like, if I just Where am I on this map? Missä minä olen tällä kartalla? Where am I on this map? Missä minä olen tällä kartalla? Where am I on this map? Missä minä olen tällä kartalla? Where am I on this map? Missä minä olen tällä kartalla? Where am I on this map? Missä minä olen tällä kartalla? Where am I on this map? Missä minä olen tällä kartalla? Like, I can keep repeating it, you can keep repeating them after me, but it's just you will not have the right relation to sentences if you go about it that way. Like, there are certain instances, like, you can learn to say je m'appelle and then insert your name. You can, learn to say je suis and then insert your nationality. You can, like, there are, like, in like specific situations, you can have that kind of approach that, how are you, or how's it going, miten menee. You can keep learning some sentence pairings, but the more elaborate the sentence, the less sense to me it makes to learn it by heart. Because, like, you think of the language the wrong way around. You think that, reality for you is in English, and you leave that reality, the English is sort of the bottom of the ocean, and you are always standing on English, but then, you don't have to swim, you are just standing in the water, and then you go to a dictionary and you go to a dictionary, you are standing, on the English soil, and you're like, can I have a receipt, please? Or, posso avere una risuvetta? Kann ich eine Quittung haben? Est-ce que je pourrais avoir un reçu? So, like, you can't really learn to swim by just standing in the water, and likewise, you can't really learn to speak a foreign language if you, if you want to reserve the right for you that you don't have to think in terms of, like, you have English thoughts and you want to take your English thoughts and simply translate those into Finnish. Just like I don't have Finnish thoughts right now, which I just translate into English, because that would take forever. Like, it would take forever to translate anything. And like, just forget about me learning by heart, like, 200,000 sentence variations, and then just have those kinds of pairings. Like, you just have to exit that motion and learn to, when speaking Finnish, thinking in Finnish, essentially. And that's what we are trying to do here. So anyway, yes. Now, I don't feel like going over any new material with this video. I'll try to wrap things up as quickly as I can. But I'm just trying to get us all on the same page into thinking that this is the right way of going about this. Is because like if there's a sentence like, "Can I have the receipt, please?" You know, you think about the elements of "Can I have the receipt, please?" You know, the hard, you know, when you break it down, there's the subject and there's the subject and the verbs that you have to, so that, you know, the subject is I, so you know, minä, and then what you want to say is can I have the verb can, or you know, that verb in Finnish is voinko, or in the basic form is voida, you know, minä voin, sinä voit, hän voi, me voimme, te voitte, he voivat. That's the basic form of, you know, I can, or when you change it into a question, it's I can into can I, and then also in Finnish, minä voin, but then when you change it to a question, it would be voin, minä, but in the Finnish we add a ko, or alternatively k and a vowel into the verb when we turn it into a question. So in this case, the vowel that matches the tonal values in voin is O. So it's voinko minä, I can, minä voin, can I, voinko minä, and then since we have two verbs, you know, I can have, can I have, it's the can and have. In Finnish, with the second verb, it's in the basic form. So, you know, since it's voinko minä, then to have is saada in its basic form. So, minä voin saada, I can have, can I have, voinko minä saada, and then the word for kuitti, the word for receipt is kuitti. So I think it comes from the German, like, what was the German version, something like Quittung or something like that. So anyway, the Finnish word for receipt is kuitti, so a bit like the German word. So I can have the receipt, minä voin saada kuitin. Can I have the receipt, voinko minä saada kuitin? And then the Finnish word for please, there isn't you know, there isn't exactly a word for please in Finnish. It's just, you can go around it, that you could just like, is it possible, like, could you be so kind as to give the receipt? You know, like, you could form it like that. So, like, ole kiltti in Finnish would be so kind as. So like you could say that, but you know, in Finnish, like there's a way to sound polite with like with the formal Finnish, and say with the conditional form. So like you could say that, could I have such and such, like the conditional form, and like there's ways to be very polite and very proper without saying the word for please, which doesn't really exist in Finnish the way that it does in English. But anyway, like instead of learning by rote, you know, just the tonal side of language, that you'd be able to construct the sentences by just knowing the language. So I can have the receipt. Minä voin saada kuitin. Can I have the receipt? Voinko minä saada kuitin? You can have the receipt. Sinä voit saada kuitin. Can you have the receipt? Voitko sinä saada kuitin? He can have the receipt. Hän voi saada kuitin. Can he have the receipt? Voiko hän saada kuitin? We can have the receipt. Me voimme saada kuitin. Can we have the receipt? Voimmeko me saada kuitin? You can have the receipt. He voivat saada kuitin. Can they have? Can you have the receipt? Voitteko te saada kuitin? They can have the receipt. He voivat saada kuitin. Can they have the receipt? Voivatko he saada kuitin? So the word to have, it's always the saada, and to have the receipt, it's always saada kuitin, and then you just change the personal pronoun minä, sinä, hän, me, te, he. You change that, and then the heart of the sentence really is the, you know, in English you say can, but in Finnish there's the voida, which turns into voin, voit, voi, voimme, voitte, voivat. And then in English you change the accent. You know, in English you change the word order and change the accent slightly. You can have the receipts. Can you have the receipt? You know, in Finnish you add the K and the vowel. So, voinko saada kuitin? Voinko minä saada kuitin? Voitko sinä saada kuitin? Voiko hän saada kuitin? Voimmeko me saada kuitin? Voitteko te saada kuitin? Voivatko he saada kuitin? So, you know, like this way you should be able to actually speak the language, because you're actually teaching yourself the elements of a sentence, and then you know, just familiarizing yourself with it. So if we have another can I something sentence, can I read the book? Voinko minä lukea kirjaa? Can you read the book? Voitko sinä lukea kirjaa? Can he read the book? Voiko hän lukea kirjaa? Can we read the book? Voimmeko me lukea kirjaa? Can you read the book? Voitteko te lukea kirjaa? Can they read the book? Voivatko he lukea kirjaa? You know, I can read the book. Minä voin lukea kirjaa. You can read the book. Sinä voit lukea kirjaa. He can read the book. hän voi lukea kirjaa. We can read the book. Me voimme lukea kirjaa. You can read the book. Te voitte lukea kirjaa. They can read the book. He voivat lukea kirjaa. You know, it's just it's just like language begins to open up when you learn those building blocks. So perhaps we can make the next sentence again after we've just taken a plunge on the deep end of the different elements that are swirling there in a sentence. You know, just like we're having the, you know, you can have the receipt. Sinä voit saada kuitin. Can you have the receipt? Voitko sinä saada kuitin? I can have the receipt. Minä voin saada kuitin. Can I have the receipt? Voinko minä saada kuitin? Just like, you know, we're building sentences like that. You know, I'll, in the next video, I'll open this from the segment of the sentences and there's like what is your telephone number, and then wie ist Ihre Telefonnummer, quel est votre numéro de téléphone, and then take some sentences like this and instead of learning them by rote, just repeating, I'll try to gradually teach you how to, you know, what are the elements of the sentence and how to form them and how to keep altering them in sentences. So those are the next units. But anyway, I'll maybe do them tomorrow, and you know, hopefully you'll learn something with these videos, and maybe rewatch some of them, and maybe not right away, maybe just later on when you need to, you know, check how it is that something's happening, provided that if you can just, you know, navigate through this. But anyway, I'll try to, since we've returned back to the beginning, just to, you know, not go too far over the deep end, and just, you know, we're just looking at the different elements of the sentence still, and, you know, don't worry, we'll gradually learn to swim in these waters. But anyway, that was all for this video, and you know, I'll yeah, what should I say? Thanks for watching. Hopefully you learned something, and I will go and do something else. And you'll go and do something else too, and hopefully we'll meet again when the next video will be there, and I'll say something in there. But anyway, until then, bye for now.